All right. So now we go from one end of the planet to the other. And we catch up with our friend Niko Moreno, who is running around 9,000 miles an hour trying to get ready for MLS is back, because MLS is back. And we get to go over everything. We'll go over juice boxes and MLS and see what he has to say for a couple of matchups. And so that means we hit the button, we bring him in. Styling and profiling as always. And he's ready to go. Cup of coffee number 2 or 3?
3, my friend, and we need it today. We've been running around for sure. Obviously, like you mentioned, we're just getting ready for the beginning of the season. And I took my equipment down to Providence and Swedish Clubhouse and Bouncy House place. And so I needed to reconnect everything before the show, but we are here ready to go. Lots to talk about. Yes, MLS is back, baby. Mm-hmm. It is finally here. Sunday will be at Lumen Field for the Sounders home opener. We even have some CCC games where MLS teams just seems to be cruise control so far, but hey, man, we're ready to go.
Reed Baker Whiting to Nashville. What happened there? I didn't even let you get a sip of your coffee, and I was like, it's Reed Baker Whiting, brother. What went down?
It was time for a change of scenery for Reed Baker Whiting, and maybe he did not necessarily force his way out or ask to be traded or anything of that nature, but I think that after speaking to Brian Schmetzer yesterday, both coach and GM took a long look on the potential tough time that he could have this season, Reed Baker Whiting, getting on the field, and how that could maybe stump his growth. Over the last couple of seasons, he has not been able to quite get either a starting level position or a consistent contributor. I think last season he had less than 800 minutes. There were some moments for him, especially during Club World Cup, where you thought maybe this is where he takes on stride. Maybe this is the time where he, makes this position his own. And then he had a setback physically. So between injuries, competition for his position, and maybe a system that didn't allow him to get on the field as regularly as the team wanted, I think it was a good move for the club to get a substantial amount of money. Maybe it's not a record, a signing, or they didn't get what at one point was expected to get from a prospect like Reed Baker Whiting. But the reality is that every year that you held on to him without giving him consistent minutes, you were affecting and handicapping his growth. And at the same time, you've already valued in the player. So when you look at the potential replacements for Reed Baker Whiting, they have similar attributes in terms of the best part of Reed Baker Whiting's game was his ability to get on the attack, his services from wide areas, his ability to, as a left back or as a wing back, get forward with ease and be able to get onto the attack. I think that in both Paul Arriola and Paul Rothrock, let's call it the Pauls troops, they're going to be able to replace some of those attributes. And at the same time, you're making better use of the resources you currently have with the team, because there is a lot of competition for, let's say, wing play, especially once Pedro de la Vega comes back. And if you can maybe certify that Paul Arriola can play the left back position, a position he's played before, a position I think he could do well, then you're using and maximizing what your roster can provide you. And at the same time, again, I want to reiterate, you do right by Reed Baker Whiting, because he goes to Nashville, a place where he'll fit in perfectly, where I could see him getting 1,000+ minutes. We'll see what happens with Lovitz, right? I mean, he's obviously on the farther side of 30, 34, I think he's at. BJ Callahan, Chris Little, who knows him well. Chris Little was part of the Tacoma Defiance, was part of the Sounders organization. He knows exactly what Rebecca provides. I think they're going to use him well, and they understand that he fits into Nashville's system. And if he decides that that is the place for him, and he is able to have a breakthrough year, the Sounders didn't just get $800,000 in this cash transfer, but there's possibility to get over $1 million depending on certain escalators. So, to me, it was the right move.
1.1, I think, is the max that you can get if you hit escalators. As I said, go ahead and get your coffee sip in. I'll filibuster for a second. But yeah, it could be as max as 1.1 if you get you hit all your metrics with that one. Going into the matchup this weekend, obviously you go to Spain, you try to get the cobwebs knocked around. Heavy favorite. And it's, look, it's not even a juice box one where you sit there and do anything with it unless you're looking at a total. Last game on the board, Seattle's a minus 208 with Colorado. What kind of a matchup are you expecting on Sunday night?
I'm expecting a pretty open game. I think that for everything that I'm hearing about Colorado, they're a team that's going to be taking on the attack. They're going to rely a little bit on some of the things that were working for Chris Armas that maybe he couldn't quite execute the way that he wanted. I think that the Sounders are going to hit the floor running, and that has been my recurring monologue here with you, is that when you have a team that has decided that they were going to use continuity and collective play to get this team in the right path right off the bat, and you have a team that is coming from a record-setting season offensively, and you have guys like Jesus Ferreira in the second year, and you get Jordan Morris back, and you have Enosasa de Rosario, who has had a phenomenal preseason, probably the best preseason out of anybody individually, 5 goals in the preseason. But more than that, he has looked like a guy that could create this 1-2 punch with Jordan Morris at some point at that 9 position. I think that this team is going to look good in game 1. And I wouldn't take Colorado. I think that the Sounders will win that game. I don't know if I think the Sounders, because the numbers are not really there necessarily, but I do think that Seattle's going to win this game, and they're going to start the one and only home game that they're going to have for a very long time. They're going to take advantage of it, and they're going to get 2 big 3 points to start of the season.
All right, so it is that time. So let's roll through them, and we'll look at the Western Conference. And because you mentioned in the Triple C, short of Vancouver, everybody was rolling. A lot of big numbers put up by Major League Soccer teams, and so you kind of wonder if those matches were put to bed to the satisfaction of the manager in this case. LA puts up a big number, but they're traveling from San Pedro Sula. You end up with Cincinnati putting up a big number. You end up with Nashville traveling to Hamilton, Ontario, instead of to Ottawa because of renovations to the stadiums, but it's still a road trip and a trip to suburban Toronto and then coming back. You're still in the Gordon Horseshoe. You got some matchups that you're kind of staring at here, and I think that a lot of the teams that were in CONCACAF got a bit of a break coming out of the blocks because you've got Philly. You get Cincinnati. Well, Cincinnati and Atlanta United, that's its own separate thing because of the return of Tata Martino. I want to treat that one separately. Philadelphia goes to D.C. Vancouver goes home to take on RSL. You've got Nashville at home hosting the Revs. Obviously, the marquee matchup we've got to talk about is LAFC hosting Messi and friends on Saturday night. Then you've got San Diego, who's been taking care of business. They're hosting Montreal. Seattle, you're waiting in the wings. LAG is playing. It's you got matchups tonight. You get the one matchup tonight in CONCACAF. So I think for the most part, MLS teams that were in the CONCACAF Champions Cup got a bit of a break from the schedule maker coming into match week 1.
Yeah, no, I think that that's always a factor, but I do think that when a team like LAFC was able to manage that game the way they wanted, because it was 5-0 at halftime. a game like the one Philadelphia had, where they were able to even bring in their wonder kid there to get an assist and work with. Look, this Philadelphia team, I feel like it's a little bit underrated. I don't know why I've heard so much disrespect. I get that they let go of a lot of people, and Ty Baribo is a guy that definitely was a high producer for this team. But I think we're forgetting that they got Olowski there last season, right? So they're waiting to see what he could provide, and if we got any indication. And yes, I get that maybe the competition wasn't as high level, but you look, that free kick that he puts away is great. I think his movement was phenomenal. I like the midfield for Philadelphia right now. So I'm not sure where the numbers are on the DC United Philadelphia game, but I am looking at that one because I do like Philadelphia winning that game. I think that a team like Vancouver, where the scoreline wasn't what they wanted, but I thought that they dominated what they could out of a game where the opposition just hit in a low block completely, and you were trying to have Berhalter and Kubas hitting mid-range shots. You were trying to take advantage of set pieces, and you couldn't quite break that wall. But at the same time, again, maybe not the most strangest physical game. I also like Vancouver over RSL in this week's pick'em. So it is a factor, but I do think that the way that the games turned out for MLS teams are not going to be as difficult to manage as maybe in later rounds where you are facing that top competition in CONCACAF.
Well, if you like Philly, you're really going to like Philly, because they've got Philly at a plus 120. They've got them on they got them on the plus side at DC, and DC's
give me that. If you have the goal composed as well, because look, this Philadelphia team, again, I feel like it's being a little bit underrated. I do believe that they're going to be able to come in and DC United, as much as they got their acquisitions, the Kyber Regal revenge game as well, that's going to be fun to watch, right? Because now he's in DC United, and he kind of mentioned over I don't know if it was this week or last week, where he's like, I don't really know if they wanted me there. So that's going to be a fun one. But I do think that if the 3.5 is interesting, I take Philly, and I'll take the 3.5 in that one.
Plus 181 at 3.5.
Oh, and that's nice and safe to start off the season. Yeah, lock me in. Lock me in for that.
Plus 181 at 3.5, and Philly at a plus 120. Still favored, but they're on the plus side as a favorite from our Juice Box friends.
And watch Jesus Bueno, man. People are sleeping on Jesus Bueno. They've been working him. This is his time. This is going to be his team. I really like Jesus Bueno this year as a breakout player for Philadelphia.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind for fantasy. Thank you for that. Vancouver is a minus 154, hosting RSL, who's a plus 376. So no shock that Vancouver is favored. They've got a big minus play, so I don't know. Maybe you're looking at a total in that one off of that bouncy surface in Vancouver, but Vancouver's safely a minus 154 in that one.
Yeah, not taking that one, but I think that's another team that is going to be interesting. How about the Nashville New England game? Because that's another lock. Probably not great because the odds should be in favor of Nashville, but Nashville's another team that looked really good.
Lucas Panzica from 104.5 The Zone led off this morning talking about Nashville. They're a minus 132 hosting the Revs. So they're out there, but they're on the minus side. Austin and Minnesota at Q2. Austin's a plus 136. Minnesota United a plus 196. I haven't heard anything about Hamas or minutes or anything at the moment, but Austin favored on the plus side at home as Minnesota United comes to town.
What's the draw on that one? Because that one has draw written all over it. Hamas, has gotten his work visa. That's the one obstacle that they were able to get over. I don't know. I can tell you for sure that if there was a bet that Hamas ain't playing 90, I mean, I guess that's a fool's bet if you take the over 90 or the 90. But I do think that this game, you have two teams with a lot of new tools. Obviously, Minnesota with the new system, new coach, and an Austin squad that, I mean, if they didn't do a full-on clean house, they remodeled pretty heavily. So that team's going to look very different. I see that as a draw for sure.
Plus 233 on the draw.
Oh, yeah. I like that draw.
Okay. Just checking. Wanted to see what you were thinking about that one as well.
No, I like that.
Dallas favored on the plus side with Toronto coming to town at a plus 121. Houston and Chicago is intriguing. Houston, with all of their offseason acquisitions, Ache, Mati Bogish, it's like flipping the table over and, giving the car a new paint job and hoping that it's just not Bondo that you're painting. It's like, what color did you paint the car? Bondo. Okay, I get it. Houston a plus 150. Chicago coming to town as a plus 165. I thought that one was kind of intriguing too.
That is intriguing. Those numbers are very intriguing. Look, it's tough to go against the Chicago team that I do think they, at the very least, understand the way they want to come and play this game. I don't know if they have the high end excitement part of it, but I do think that this is a well-established, well-worked team with some already set pieces that I think are going to have very good moments within the season. But Houston Dynamo was interesting at home, man. I don't know. That's a tough one. That could go either way. I don't want to touch it. I'm not going to touch it, but I do think that's going to be a fun, exciting game. I think, both sides could take this one. That's a difficult one, but like Houston, anytime that you have that many new acquisitions, it's obviously good. There's going to be a learning curve for them. Houston at home can be very hard to decipher. So maybe Chicago takes it, but that's a difficult one.
Yeah, I ain't touching it. The marquee matchup on Saturday night at the Mausoleum, as us Angelinos call it. The LA Memorial Coliseum has LAFC, Messi and friends. LAFC coming off of their road trip. It was over early. And Messi and friends coming all the way across the country. We still don't know the status of Lionel Messi from the muscle injury that he picked up a couple weeks ago. They are a plus 222 heading to Los Angeles to take on LAFC, who is favored, but on the plus side at a plus 108. Interesting numbers there with a lot
Very
still
interesting.
up in there.
Yeah, look, I have Messi in my fantasy team, but I always have him right there waiting to remove him and then kind of change my whole thing up. But it sounds like he practiced. Sounds like Berterame practiced. That was the last I had heard. What does that really mean? It could be difficult to say. Game one, I think Messi would want to start off, especially because Messi does look at those matchups. And if you have Bouanga and if you had Song, Messi doesn't want to be sitting on the bench. What level, what form of Messi will we see? Regardless of, I like LAFC. I really do. I think that LAFC at home, I like what I see out of LAFC's midfield. I think that I saw some of the Marc Dos Santos little details about the offense, how quickly they changed the point of attack. Obviously, this is a team that got off pretty easily against Real España, and there was a PK before the minute of the game that was a questionable PK. But I did like what I saw out of Extravio. I think is going to be a very good player for LAFC. I don't think that people have given that signing the due respect that it deserves. But Eustachio is a guy that, even with maybe not having his best game, you could tell that he provides them another player that's going to hold the tempo, that was putting some really good through balls, that you could tell has the vision, that could work well with Tillman, allows Tillman to get a little bit higher, a lot easier. Transition moments just seem to fit in pretty well. I think Palencia had a really good game as well. So this is one of those LAFC games where if those three up top can get really hot, La Perla Martinez, the Pearl, if you could unlock that, if you could open that clam and allow that guy to shine, that's going to be a difference maker that maybe nobody was expecting, because we all know he has a talent. He just hasn't been, he hasn't had consistency. So I think if you can get the Venezuelan to really be a guy that's going to be consistent, this is going to be a very good LAFC team. So give me LAFC regardless of, I'll take them. I think they'll get this game against Inter Miami.
And Michelle Kaufman at the Miami Herald is saying that she is anticipating that Lionel Messi is going to play. But once again, we don't know to what extent. Is he going to start? What's it going to be? What's the shiny objects going to look like in this matchup against LAFC? So that one's going to be obviously one of the ones to focus on the weekend. So
give me one more. What's the numbers on Columbus and Portland?
Columbus favored on the plus side at a plus 131.
Columbus?
Yeah, Columbus is favored at a plus 131. Portland is a plus 191. And your draw is a plus 252.
Oh, I like Columbus, man. I really do. And I know that I'm not talking about the Columbus of old, but I think it's more of an indictment on how little I believe in Portland this season. I don't know how people have not realized that they haven't had the best season. I understand that they're in the middle of bringing in a Chilean international on loan that, has an interesting profile winger, but I just haven't seen enough out of Portland, and they lost Cabecita Rodriguez. They have some doing in regards to that inside group within that team. So I like Columbus.
Okay. One more for you. LAG hosting NYCFC. This one has kind of been flopping around a little bit. Right now, it's the early game on Sunday, and it is 7 o'clock Eastern time, so 7:10. LAG favored hosting NYCFC at a plus 150. NYC comes to town at a plus 163, draws a plus 259. What say you?
Give me the draw.
Okay.
Give me the draw. New York City is another team that is probably going to work in the continuity of last season, but there's players that are question marks because of prior injuries. There is that level that Hack brought to the team that is now gone. Obviously, now on the other end with LAG. I like LAG. I really do. I think that they're a team that is going to be very interesting this year. But in this first game against a New York City team that I think is going to be very conservative, I like the draw.
Okay, at a plus 259. That's where it is. All right, what is the latest with Sounder Heart Pulso Sports and weekend number 1 of MLS?
Yeah, man, we are going to have tomorrow, as always, or what we learned this week with Jeremiah O'Shan. We'll give you that Colorado preview, exactly what's going on with everybody for the Sounders teams. Christian Roldan has been dealing with an Achilles discomfort. It doesn't sound like it's something that Brian looked very concerned about, but with Brian, sometimes you don't know, has a great poker face. So we're going to be keeping track on that. Obviously, the center back depth is not going to be quite there, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully there are no issues with Yamar or Jackson Reagan, but get the insight on everything that was said this week from Albert Rusnak, from Brian Smetzer about this Colorado game coming up. Obviously, we're going to be giving you that ideal starting 11, so don't miss that. If you haven't seen the Danny Leyva exclusive that we kind of teased here last week, please do so. It was a phenomenal time. Great to just hear from Danny, who has been doing great with Nick Coxa. So we have that exclusive on Loving Scorchers. And then, of course, we'll have Loving Scorchers kickoff with our Lila Wall on Monday.
As always, my friend, great to see you, because now we're talking matches. We are talking matches, whether it's CONCACAF, whether we're talking MLS is back. Get your third cup of coffee rolling. It's going to be a great weekend. We'll catch up with you again next week, my friend. Great to see you.
Have a good one.
There he goes. Third cup of coffee. He's not messing around. It's a match week. It's third cup of coffee for Niko.